Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to To Be Determined. Today we have a ton of changes added to the main server, including Spider Slayer RNG meter getting enabled, Scorpion Foil finally being added to the Sting recipe line, and a revamp to Abiphones. So smash the like button, subscribe, and let's jump into it. So the first thing you may notice upon logging in is a bunch of these new stat discovered things. So if I just go in here and take off a piece of equipment, or something like that, I'm just gonna get all of these things added into my chat explaining what every single stat that I have is. So your chat's probably gonna get flooded whenever you log in, but this should help new players understand what new stats are whenever they get them. So pretty nice change in the long run. But if we head over to the RNG meter for Tarantula, you will notice it is now enabled, so you can select whatever you want. And they did also double the drop rates of shriveled wasps. So these will drop twice as often, and their RNG meter is half the price of what it was before this, which it wasn't enabled anyway. So not really a big deal for the RNG side of things, but it does mean that shriveled wasp is much cheaper on the auction house whenever it opens. It is currently derpy, but a lot of crafts, including the shriveled cornea, have halved in price thanks to this change. They have also majorly buffed a lot of these weapons from Tarantula Slayer, so this damage multiplier down here is multiplicative instead of additive, so that should mean it does a lot more damage. So real quick, I'm just gonna throw something like sharpness 6 on here since that stacks with Bane of Arthropods now, and let's go test how much damage we do exactly. So I do have my Halberd of the Shredded right here, and then we have our Sting. I'll go ahead and equip my G-Drag. So my Halberd of the Shredded, of course, is much more upgraded, but it does 250% damage to undead mobs, whereas the Sting, it does 300% damage against arthropod mobs. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some hot potato books and fumings on this thing to make it a little bit more even. So Halberd of the Shredded right now, 2.6 million, 2.6 million, 2.7 million. Let's go ahead and get up to 10 stacks on our Crimson Armor and see exactly what that number is. Okay, 10 stacks, and we are dealing 2.9 million, almost 10 million damage, or 3 million damage right there. We got 3 million, and then 2.9 million, so about 3 million damage. If we head over to the spiders then real quick, first hit we're doing 1.9, and once we have all our stacks up, we're doing 2.1, 2.2, 2.2, which again, I don't even have first strike on this. Let's put that on there. That should help quite a bit. So first strike 4 on this thing now, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.6, so it is a lot more damage for sure. So Sting is actually a viable weapon to use against these guys now. Let's test out our Dayblade against them. 1.7, 1.6. Like before, I was doing reasonably more damage with my Daedalus Blade against these guys, and now the Sting is actually doing way more damage against them. So Sting is actually a good weapon to use against the actual boss itself now. And if we go ahead and look at the recipe line, you have the normal recipe here for the Recluse Fang, and that is going to upgrade into the Tarantula Fang, and after that it upgrades into the Scorpion Foil. So the Scorpion Foil is now officially a part of this line of weapons, and as such it does have a 250% damage multiplier against arthropod mobs, and then you'll be able to upgrade it into the Sting. So the recipes have changed around a little bit. They said they wanted to add Scorpion Foil to this recipe line a while back, but it's now officially there. They have also changed how wooden singularities work. So it used to be only applicable to wooden swords, and it would give a damage increase. Now it can be applied to any axes, and it grants 25 foraging fortune. The next thing they did is in the hub lobby. So if we go here and head over to the right, you may notice this building. If you were on the alpha a while back, I think it's been a year or two now, you may recognize it, but it is not here for its previous use. It is now here for Abiphones, and it has 2 NPCs, Karis and Alda. If you talk to Alda, he's gonna have a ton of dialogue, and he's basically going to explain what Abiphones do. So you can go through his dialogue to discover what Abiphones are. Very good for new players, and he also shows off Abiphone contact trios right here. But if you click on it, you do have to still go to Elizabeth in the community center to purchase them, but you can also buy an Abiphone basic here. So not able to get a fully maxed out Abiphone like you can in the Crimson Isles, but if you're just starting off the game and you want to have a couple contacts, this phone will hold up to 6 contacts at the max, and it only costs 100,000 coins. So nice item to be able to start off the game with. And they did add a new contact in Alda right here. So if you click click on him with an Abiphone, and that's all you have to do to get his contact. It does give 10 SkyBlock XP, which is really nice. If we head over here to the Crimson Isle, we can go over to the Abiphone house here, and I believe it has received a little bit of a renovation, so the inside is a bit different. It also shows the Abiphone contacts trio here, and you can see what the latest Abiphone model is right here, and we are going to be getting a new Abiphone model soon. If we go into calendar and events here, you will see Udel's Abiphone keynote is coming up in a week, and that is going to have a brand new Abiphone introduced into the game with even more contacts, as well as a speed dial option. So you'll be able to choose an Abiphone contact that whenever you left click with your Abiphone, it will instantly call them instead of you having to open the menu and select them. So nice little quality of life change right there, but we gotta wait a week for that. If you are Barbarian faction as well, you will be able to buy these Abiphones at the same price as a Mage faction now. So nice little change for that as well. Then we have a ton of nerfs to go over to some specific weapons and armor sets. First of all, the Superior Dragon armor set. It now increases all combat stats and magic find by 5% instead of increasing specifically pet luck. I think there were a couple other stats that it probably increased as well, but pet luck is the most noticeable one. Superior armor no longer increases that, and you'll notice the same change has been applied to the renowned bonus as well. They've made similar changes to the blaze pet. It now increases combat and miscellaneous stats by 10% while in the Crimson Isle once it's at level 100. The Ender Dragon increases combat stats and magic find. It no longer increases pet luck as well. The Mithril Golem only buffs combat stats now. I don't know what it used to have that it buffed, but it's now specific to combat stats. The Legion enchant is now only for combat and magic find as well. Bobbin Time now increases all fishing stats and magic find, not including pet luck anymore, and the amount it increases them by has been reduced because it does affect treasure chance and double hook chance now, so the admins felt like it needed a little bit of a nerf since that. They have also nerfed the giant fishing rod once again. So I believe it was a couple months ago now that it got nerfed to 20 double hook chance instead of 50 like it used to have, and now it's been nerfed from 20 down to 10. They have announced that future fishing islands should have easier ways to get double hook chance, so you'll still be able to get that double hook chance back, but it's going to be much cheaper than it was on giant fishing rod. So it's a sad day for giant rod owners once again. You may also notice if you had master stars or something on a primordial or a halberd of the shredded that the stars at the top there are crossed out, and at the bottom of the item it says this item can be reclaimed. Use /reclaim to take back what's rightfully yours. So if we do /reclaim, we can go ahead and throw this in here and reclaim our first and second master stars, as well as the essence cost that it cost us to dungeonize the item. So if we go ahead and do this, we can get our stuff back because Primordial is no longer dungeonizable, and the same goes for Halberd of the Shredded. Don't worry, your Terminators and Jujus are still dungeonizable. It's just these specific Slayer weapons, as well as the Reaper Scythe, Reaper Sword, Revenant Sword, and Undead Sword. Basically, those weapons were actually applicable to use as a mage in dungeons if you were left-click maging, specifically because of the Smite and Sharpness update that came out a couple weeks ago. It made them very strong, especially against Wither mobs, so people were using them in M7 and F7, and the admins didn't really want them used for that. They're mainly supposed to be used for, of course, Slayers, and the Primordial has been the best dungeon belt since it came out, and it seems like they didn't want that happening either, so hopefully y'all didn't sell your adaptive belts when you bought your Primordial. You can also type /chapters right here, and you'll notice it does have the Hina's chapters from Moonglade Marsh. You can click to view all of the chapters and see your progress, but the main reason they made this menu is because they're going to be adding chapters to future islands. So hopefully it gets added to islands that are already in the game as well, but getting added to future islands will make it a lot easier for newer players to understand what's going on, and even more veteran players whenever an update drops. Now, all those pet lug nerfs I talked about with superior armor and renowned, the main thing that the admins were afraid this was going to break was Ender Dragon pets being dropped. So what they did is pretty awesome, pretty massive, and I wish they had done this years ago. Basically, before this update, the Dragon Claw and the Dragon Horn both had a drop weight higher than the epic Ender Dragon pet, which basically meant that whenever you spawned in a dragon, if you dropped a Dragon Horn or a Dragon Claw, those would be rolled before the dragon pet. So normally the way that it works with most things is it will roll for the rarest drop, and then if you don't drop that, it will roll for the second rarest drop, and if you don't drop that, it'll roll for the third rarest, etc. Basically, it made it a lot rarer for an Ender Dragon pet to drop because you had to fail those first 2 rolls and then succeed on the 3rd roll in order to be able to drop the pet. So this should make Ender Dragons a bit easier to drop, even though the pet luck chance has been reduced. But again, the auction house is closed right now because of Derpy, so we really won't see how the price of these has been affected until he's gone. They've also made a bunch of minor changes to other things, mainly QOL stuff. If we warp forage now, you'll notice that I am facing Foreman Fred instead of what it would be before, where you were facing this lava. So if you walked forward, then you would just end up in the lava. So now, whenever you warp forage, you'll be facing this direction. So if you walk forward, you just hit this pillar instead of falling in lava. Also, if you go over to the forager, you'll be able to claim all right here instead of having to click every single slot if you have a full forage. So that should make things a lot more easy. Final change that we're going to go over. Again, there's a bunch of smaller changes that I'm not going to go over. Patch notes are linked in the description if you want to see those for yourself. But one change that I have talked about a lot on stream that has been bugged for a while is the Enderman pet. It has been bugged with the Enderian perk not working since the mob types update, but thankfully with this update, that bug has been fixed. So if you were using an Enderman pet against the Enderman Slayer and you were struggling, it's probably because of this. So that's been fixed now, so hopefully you won't have any more problem. Also, I didn't know this, but apparently if you had cleave on your weapon, you were able to kill the baby pandas in Galatia. I had no idea this was a thing, but I totally would have made a short about it if I did. Thankfully, it's been patched now, so you won't hear any baby pandas dying next to you, but that is actually hilarious. But that is all for today's update, ladies and gentle gamers. So thank you so much for watching to the end. Again, if you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like, smash the sub button to stay up to date, and I will be streaming a ton of dungeons this week right here on YouTube as well as on Twitch, because it is derpy and he has a 50% XP boost that I really need to take advantage of if I'm going to hit class average 50 fast. So make sure to tune into those streams, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless.